Does MAGA BLM? Hello everyone, please join as I discuss some issues with a friend. Let us remember Charlie Kirk by keeping the fight going to open people's eyes. Now let us begin. I received. I will start with my response to him on several of the issues he raised after we began talking about the decline in America. So, here we go. Hello, my friend. I appreciate your detailed thoughts, but I'm still unclear on what you mean by being called out. I have been criticized for speaking proper English, dressing differently, or not eating certain foods. Those are social pressures or stereotypes, but I don't see how those connect to being called out in a specific sense. Could you clarify what incident or critique you're referring to? That would help me respond more directly. On the topic of Indian reservations, you're correct that in the past there was systemic racism. However, they now operate with significant autonomy. Tribes like the Pueblo or those in Florida, such as the Seminole, have their own governance, police, and cultural practices. They are sovereign nations within the U.S., and their right to self-rule is protected. Again, systemic racism in their history, land dispossession, forced relocations like the Trail of Tears in the 1830s, and underfunded federal programs has left lasting economic and social challenges. For example, the Bureau of Indian Affairs has been criticized for mismanagement, with 2023 reports showing persistent underfunding of healthcare and education on reservations. While residents can leave, many stay due to cultural ties or lack of resources. Have you seen specific examples of racism on reservations today that we could discuss? My son worked on one as a federal employee. Regarding internment camps, you're right that Japanese internment during World War II, which affected over 120,000 people from 1942 to 1945, was a clear case of systemic racism. German and Italian internments were smaller, targeting about 11,000 and 3,000 people, respectively. Today, I hope you do not count the invasion under Joe Biden, Democrat, the same as in the past. Our nation is in the process of answering the illegal immigration issue. The removal of 10 to 21 million people involves complex logistics and legal questions. Current estimates from 2024 suggest about 11 million undocumented immigrants in the U.S., per the Pew Research Center. Deportation policies, like those tied to recent political platforms, spark debate over humanitarian and economic impacts, but we can set that aside as a point of disagreement. On public housing and redlining, your history is accurate. The New Deal's Homeowners Loan Corporation, HOLC, and Federal Housing Administration, FHA, established in 1933 and 1934 under Roosevelt, a white liberal Democrat, institutionalized redlining by marking black neighborhoods as high risk, denying loans, and segregating housing. By 1960, over 80% of public housing projects were racially segregated, per historical records. This shaped wealth gaps. Black families had a median wealth of $24,100 in 2019, compared to $188,200 for white families, per the Federal Reserve. However, redlining was not a part of the criminal justice system, but influenced it indirectly. Poor neighborhoods faced higher policing, there is a good reason, with Black Americans making up 38% of prison populations in 2021, despite being 13% of the population, per the Bureau of Justice statistics. Crime rates, noted from the FBI's 2021 report, show disparities, but systemic issues like overpolicing, this is where we could differ, or sentencing inequities also play a role. On MAGA and BLM, you didn't directly address them, but your point about equating them seems to suggest they are comparable. I would disagree. MAGA, tied to a political campaign, pushes nationalism and conservative policies. BLM, sparked by police violence, seeks racial justice reform. Their goals differ: political power versus systemic change. If you're comparing their societal impact, could you specify what wrong means to you? That would help me clarify further. Let me know more about the called out issue or which topic you'd like to focus on next. Please like, comment, and subscribe to learn more.